Hey friends, bet you're tired of that sound. In today's video, I'm going to do a breakdown of Endless Vale from the perspective of a solo queue Trials player, and how to best tip the odds in your favor of perhaps winning a match. First and foremost, let's talk about the Immortal Adept and if it's even worth obtaining this week in Trials of Osiris. The map is, of course, Endless Vale. There are 3 zone locations. One in the temple, one in the dead center of the map, and one where B flag normally is. Is it even worth going through all this, though, for an Adept Immortal? I think D2 Foundry will help us decide on that. The optimal role might be Keep Away or Rangefinder with target lock so that your time to kill shifts from a 0.75 on 10 resilience to a 0.67. However, this isn't the end-all be-all. Note that its range is 22.16, but as you start walking out, it has a steep drop-off. The alternative to this is the Crucible Unending Tempest. And I'm about to say something that might make you dislike this gun, so if you love this gun, skip ahead about 10-15 seconds. Now, so the scope sway is really annoying on this, and that's what puts me off this weapon. But objectively, it's a competitive weapon. About where this starts getting drop-off, it equalizes the time to kill of Immortal as long as you keep walking backwards. It's a 0.7 time to kill versus a 0.67, and trust me, with this networking, you're not going to notice 0.03. But we can do even better. We can go for the Synchronic Roulette from Neomuna. I have a very, very detailed route I do that I will tell you in a future video. Don't worry, this isn't going anywhere. Maybe I'll just link it on screen now. 1 second. I share this in my Discord, but it's a chest route. You just follow the colored lines, and all the yellow dots are chests. All you do is pick up chests to get keys. On your ghost, use the Treasure Hunter Finder mod, whatever it's called, and use the sniper scope because it'll show the chest through the sniper scope a lot farther away. All you do is keep reloading the instance, either through the patrol zone or through the terminal override node, and you just keep running this until you have 5 keys. And maybe sometimes whenever you reload it, the public event activity is almost done. It's the Minotaur or the Scion, that's how you know it's almost done. And just stay in that instance and get your loot. And your loot might be a perfect synchronic roulette. The thing that differentiates this one from Immortal, and in my opinion makes it better, is that it has the nano rocket. So just by landing hits and then full committing to a gunfight, you will have a nano rocket in that gunfight, which will beat an Immortal, or will beat an Overshield. Unending Tempest has a trick under its sleeve with under-over, no pun intended, where it can also equalize that, but I think Nano Rocket is just so much better. Also, Precision Frame manages drop-off a little bit better. It does equalize with that TTK a little bit, but in my opinion, it's easier to land my shot with this, so I'm just going to use the 600. Of course, there's also Shira's Wrath. That one's obviously great, but if you're going to switch to Conditional Finality, there is no better option than No Survivors. This comes from the Ghost of the Deep dungeon and is a pain to obtain just RNG wise. I've spent probably like 24 hours plus in here, and I have a very good roll, just not the ideal roll. I wanted Offhand Strike and I never got it, but now that I'm on Cert Arachnid 24/7, Well Rounded is looking like a snack and honestly keeps up with Immortal. The Origin Trait Restoration Ritual also comes up in Trials a lot. So consider going for this if you like using Conditional Finality, or if you swap to that in the later rounds to deal with Well and Bubble. Side tangent here, Conditional is not the problem right now. Well and Bubble are the problem right now. When Well and Bubble get nerfed, then we can talk about a Conditional Finality nerf. The final recommendation is either the Showrunner or the Vanguard Prolonged Engagement. It's a lightweight that also gets target lock. It's normally a 0.73, which again will trade with Immortal. And with target lock, it'll still trade with Immortal, but you might be able to triple surge on this and maybe even beat Immortal. So that's a consideration, especially if you have a damage booster on your team, or maybe Overshields in the mix or something like that. Like, you will beat them. However, this is a 1 out of 12 one, just like the Unending Tempest, so good luck getting that, but maybe on a double Vanguard week, you get lucky. So when you consider all of these SMGs, is Immortal Adept worth it? In my opinion, it's not, because Synchronic Roulette is super chill, and it's easier to get, and I honestly think it's a better weapon. And maybe this goes hand in hand with like Ascendant Nomad's God Roll Culture video, but the best answer is use the one that you get the 4 out of 5 roll first on, and it's going to be fine. No Johns, you can win any match with a 4 out of 5 SMG. Whether it's Unending Tempest, Immortal Adept, Synchronic Roulette, Prolonged Engagement, No Survivors, the Showrunner, any of them will do. The only exception is if it's a non-Adept Immortal where you cannot put the Adept range mod, then you probably do want a 5 out of 5. Again, keep away or rangefinder, target lock, ricochet rounds, and some sort of range booster. I go for extended barrel because I do feel that the 100 recoil direction actively makes a difference, but it's not a deal breaker for most players. 96 is good enough. Okay, now let's actually talk about the map. My recommended loadouts, I think there's only 4 competitive ways to play this map, and it involves using Shoulder Charge, Blink, Grapple, or Icarus Dash. You need that speed to be able to compete in this main lane. So I'll just play the part of spawning up. This side is slightly faster than the other side. So if you're the type to Cloud Strike challenge right off the rip, you will get there slightly first. You will be able to slide and hug this wall and be able to walk into cover right as they're appearing. However, I don't like taking that RNG duel. I don't trust the connection of this game, so I just shoulder charge. And a tip for shoulder charging is that if you want to shoulder charge like over the head of an opponent, look up. Especially if you're a high sense controller or a high sense M&K player, just look up and it makes the shoulder charge not track down to them, so you don't waste your precious ability. Of course, if it wins a round, that's worth it, which is why I recommend going at least 4 strength. There's another thing about this with Striker Titan where you can use Spark of Momentum, so that, let's say you shoulder charge to get positioning, then you TTK somebody, and you see your shoulder charge cooldown is like 9/10 of the way there. They drop a green brick on the floor. If you slide over that green brick, you will get your entire shoulder charge back. So you can actually sprint into a green brick, slide, and then still instantly shoulder charge. It's pretty sick. I know some of you are already rolling your eyes at me suggesting Immortal Cloud Strike, but it gets results on this map. You're always one shoulder charge away from being in the proper cover to chow somebody with an SMG, which is going to be better than, let's say, their 140 or 120 hand cannon. Or worse, maybe they're using an auto rifle. So if you're going to challenge this main lane, you can of course put a barricade down, use this to get free vision, and just jiggle peek your own barricade so they whiff as you peek out and get your shot. From the opposite side, there's a couple like niche spots you can be in where you wedge yourself into this gulch and try to find somebody's face. Of course, there's this cave jump spot here if you want to snipe, and you want to wedge yourself so that you're seeing somebody just barely jump up onto B flag or to investigate. I'm a suppressor nade user, but I think the meta right now is really leaning towards scatter nade, and especially if you can fit it, it might be worth taking the hit to recovery and the hit to discipline to use Echo of Undermining. Of course, I always recommend getting to 4 discipline because it's a significant increase over 2, 3. So I would take the hit to strength, go to like 1 or 2 strength, and then go 4 discipline. You always want to go the highest intellect possible because I hate to say it, bubbles and wells are broken and they win games. So if you do go the scatter grenade route, let's just say I spawned on this side, right? I don't want to get sniped, so I shoulder charge into my cubby. I look at my radar before I peek this because somebody is always scoping in that field. And if I can clear it, I just want to watch the radar for when I think somebody's about to peek and catch them on that corner with the scatter nade. Even if they don't full commit, that's going to hit so much damage, I can check that corner as I slide out and start working that cubby. And assuming my teammates are somewhat aggressive, it's going to be a 5-0. You will lose matches because of your teammates, even if you play perfectly, because for some reason your teammates will be sitting like right here with the snipe, and they'll look at the kill feed, and the kill feed will show me killing 2 opponents, and they think, yeah, they're probably not going to revive those kills. They're just going to walk into my spawn and duel me. That's most likely what's going to happen. And then you lose. You get 5-0'd. It's not your fault. Just got to recognize what's in and out of your control. I think play without your team on this map. Instead of sitting in the spawn and hoping your opponents get impatient, it is way better to just be DivP and to win the match on your own. And it's going to be the same when I show you Warlock and the same when I show you Hunter. What else here? Let's talk about the temple side. No, hold up. This gold box is really good for getting across with your teammates if you know you have a teammate that likes to jump up on the B flag. Don't overcommit to staying in this spot. It is okay to play your life and to run away. And if, God forbid, you bring Invis on this map, we'll talk about that later. Alright, now let's talk about temple. A mistake a lot of noobs make is that they shoulder charge really early, and then by the time they challenge this Cloud Strike lane, they don't have a shoulder charge. If you're a controller player, you can't really do this tech anyway, and if you're an M&K player, it's flashy, but I think this slip surface lets the art team really screw you over. I don't think it's the risk. It is a sick clip though, if you're able to scope in during the slide, take your shot, flick to the right, and shoulder charge, and keep going. It's very sick. I doubt that I hit it first try. Not warmed up or anything, but maybe. Anyway, you've shoulder charged in. Once again, wait to use your shoulder charge until you're right about here. It's much harder to hit. And by the time you land here, you could do a lot with this piece of cover. Your radar tells you everything. Your radar tells you if somebody's about to drop into the tube. You can jump to get your angle. A lot of people barricade right here. So if you're a suppressor user, flashbang user, lightning grenade user, this wall is going to give you some triple kills. And so this is your heat check. All you have to do is pray your teammates aren't going to RNG sniper fight, right? They're going to do it. They're going to die. You're going to have to win the match on your own. Then from here, you decide whether or not the radar is dense enough in order for you to throw a grenade. Maybe you get a pick, maybe you don't. Otherwise, you have to shoot a barricade, right? And so now we're going to do the nom load, which is rapidly switching your SMG like this during fire, so it reloads during the fire animation after like, I don't know, a 10-second delay. So this is what it looks like. So you see how those extra bullets would help me break a barricade and be able to TTK the person behind it? Those little milliseconds count when your teammates don't do anything. I don't know why I'm turning to imaginary team. If you know who I'm talking about, though, you have been there. And then there's also some pigeon spots you can go to here that are kind of funny. Like this one. If you have a really passive enemy team, they'll just run right under you and search around. Then they'll think it's a Strand clone or a smoke or something, and you'll just gun them. However, practice some trigger discipline just like a Counter-Strike player. Don't just shoot somebody the second they show their elbow. Wait until they overcommit into the space, and maybe you can pick up a double or a triple. There's also another spot over here. You can stand up, get a nice vantage point, or a nice little grenade point. So that's how I would approach Temple. Is shoulder charge in, be ready to shoot some grenades off the wall, get ready to chow somebody, get ready to break a barricade with nom load, and also pay attention to your radar. It's almost worth doing less damage to somebody so you can know when somebody's about to drop into tube, so you can deal with them immediately before they're even... like, they think they're getting this juicy flank and they just walk into a Cloud Strike. Okay, and now the final part of the map is the B flag zone. Bubble pretty much wins this one on its own. However, a lot of players are really, really dumb with their bubble. Let's assume that you switch to conditional finality or whatever. If you know somebody's about to slide in with conditional finality, just backpedal and let your teammate eat that shit and then go back in. If it's a well of radiance, your goal is not to kill the people in the well, it's to break the well sword if you're ever fighting them. The biggest thing you can do in your bubble is drop a barricade so that if they try to melee through this, they get weakened or they have to burn their conditional freeze shot on that. The best thing you can do is dance in and out. Doesn't matter if they shoot a Witherhorde in the bubble, dance in and out and do not get one hit while you're dancing in and out. Let your teammates make the risk and you just soak up that armor of light. Of course, if your teammates are useless, you might have to use your Scatternade, which, by the way, refreshes when you throw a bubble. So, in fact, you can use that as a combo. A lot of people just think the bubble wins no matter what, and it is very strong, but when you're playing similarly skilled opponents, it's not going to win the round on its own, especially if they also have a bubble. So don't just shoulder charge out into the open and hope for the best. You still have to work for that map control. And hopefully your teammates understand the urgency of that situation when they see you up with the bubble. But also, maybe it's worth dropping the bubble early and just making those orbs light so your teammates can pick up the orbs and they can have a super, whereas otherwise they're going to orbit without even getting their super. Of course, if they're useless, they're not using the super anyway. So then, I think the standard way to approach the B flag with the bubble is, of course, the same way you've been doing it. Let's get to about this point. Heat check, maybe they fly in with conditional, maybe they don't. Maybe they're already pre-scoping with the sniper rifle. This is about where the bubble is going to go down if you get panicked. And as soon as it goes down, again, barricade goes in, dancing in and out, Witherhoard goes in, dancing in and out of the armor light. Please, stop being bad with the bubble and throwing. It is a broken super. You can definitely abuse it. So now I'm on a Blink class. I'm using both Thorn and Deadpan Delivery with Frenzy and Slick Draw. This is a really, really optimal combo because Thorn burns them, and then you also build up to Frenzy, which helps you deal with overshields, barricades, etc. I also have triple Kinetic Surge, so that if I pick up an Orb of Light from Reaper, and I also pick up the Soul Devourer perk, which is about to get a buff, maybe that's tomorrow's video, it'll just 2-tap anything, assuming that they're not using an overshield. So this goes pretty crazy. However, I think Gemini Arcstrider with Blink edges out this class ever so slightly. You almost have a problem with this Blink on this map because of artificial ceilings in the middle, where you hit your head on this fake ceiling and it sends you down to the ground sooner than you expect. Art team gets you again. Anyway, this is the whole point of running Blink. It's to get from point A to point B without getting cloud striked. And of course, you keep your radar up with Astrocyte Verse, which lets you make better decisions in the moment. One thing I like doing with Blink is to short hop, hit my target, and blink. That was kind of a bad one there, but it's more like that. So it's you're putting in damage while you're getting a cross so that your teammates have a crossfire. That's how you win with Blink. It's very, very, very good. I feel like that's really all I have to say for Blink. With Astrocyte, just burn your Blink as fast as you get it. By the way, if you use 3 Blinks in a row, you will not be able to slide. Anyway, let's say you're trying to take the Temple Zone. It's the same thing as the Shoulder Charge, except you have Astrocyte, so you're even faster. You can get all the way up into their grill before they even realize what happened. Let me just show you this real quick. This is a pet peeve of mine. I cannot believe they buffed this exotic. Look, I can't slide. And then they change it to add Volatile on Blink. Come on, dude. It didn't need Volatile. It just needed to be able to slide while you have Blink. SMH my head. Okay, the final one is going to be Invis and Strand Hunter. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a video I saved of the exact situation I was talking about because it triggered the hell out of me. So let's go with... This video is called Invis Training Blueberries, and I'm just going to summarize what went down here. I'm not going to post or show the whole thing. So when you use invisibility on this map, if your teammates attach themselves to your hip, Invis is dead because you're not off the radar because they're on the radar. And they don't trust you to be able to flank effectively. You have no communication. Of course, when I see exclamation points through the map and when I hear gunshots, I assume some damage is being traded. And that's usually when I full commit as an Invis player. Like I said though, your teammates may not trust you, so they may follow you, which ultimately kills Invis. And for this reason, I cannot recommend it. In this video though, my teammates showed that habit of following me around, dying, and then having to sit in the spawn screen while they watch me 1v3. After 2 or 3 1v3s in a row, they finally started trusting me. When I would shoot them with my gun and then shoot the direction I want them to go, they would follow. Pretty funny. I don't recommend that because it could be perceived as toxic and not just trying to win the match. Which is why, again, I don't recommend Invis. I hope that makes sense. The final effective loadout on this is going to be a Strand Hunter. I say there's about 4 archetypes of Strand Hunter. There's Frostbolt Certarachnid, which uses all the interactions with it. There's the a Drewski, clone, and dive, so you kind of have a toolbox. There's Walla Stompies, where you want to go as fast as possible, but I think on this map you kind of get screwed over by the artificial ceilings if you're doing Stompies. And then, of course, there's the OCE server, throw threadlings everywhere with a bow. That's effective on any map, so you'll be just fine there. But the idea is you want to heat check the opponents by being so fast. But the problem is, in solo queue, your teammates may not understand how far ahead you are of them, and they may not be able to help at all. Of course, if you got it like that and can just 1v3 anyway, Strand is fantastic. But if you give your opponents too many rounds and they get to a bubble or a well and you don't have a super or won't get a super, that's kind of throwing, which is why I recommend Invis less and why I recommend Strand less. So while on one hand, I kind of dislike contributing to a bad game state, on the other hand, I like helping y'all go flawless. So good luck. I hope you get the Immortal Roy you want, or maybe this video enlightened you to just say, Immortal isn't worth it. I'm just going to have fun in this casual playlist and not really worry about the outcome past getting flawless. And that's my approach to trials. It really is my casual mode. So real quick, switching to grapple. I'm not going to be perfect at it. If you notice you have Strand teammates, you can set up a grapple point so that they can also use it. And you just go way far ahead. I don't even think I have the correct jumps or anything on, but... Yep, this stuff, and then you dive on top of them, whatever. You've seen it 100 times. You know what videos I'm talking about. I hope you learned something new in this video. And I always have to weigh whether or not I should do a pretty edited video with, you know, info on the screen, arrows everywhere, and that type of thing, versus just a live commentary to get it out to y'all. So I would rather just get the video out to y'all than not post a video at all. So again, I hope you appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.